Namaskar. So now we are live on Facebook. So, Bharti ji, you can start the proceedings.
आचार्य जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
महामहेश्वर आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त जी को कोट एंड कोट प्रणाम। आज एक सप्ताह की वार्ता श्रृंखला का दूसरा दिन है और मैं आप सबका यहाँ पे स्वागत करती हूँ। तो सबसे पहले मैं संजय रैना जी को रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि प्लीज वो आए और मंगलाचरण करें। मंगलाचरण से इस कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करें।
आचार्य जी प्रणाम, भारती जी प्रणाम, सुनील जी प्रणाम। अगाध संशयाम्बुधे संवर्तनतारिणीं वन्दे विचित्रापदां चित्रां तां पुरभारतीम् अनाद्यायाखिलाद्याये मायने गतमायने अरूपाय स्वरूपाय शिवाय गुरवे नमः। विश्वात्मिकां तत्उतीर्णं हृदयं परमेशतो परादिशक्तिरूपेण सुफुरन्तीं संविदं नमः। नमः शिवाय सततं पंचक्रेति विद्यायने चिदानन्दघन स्वात्म परमार्था विभुवासने। प्रणाम प्रणाम प्रणाम।
आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद संजय जी। आज हमारे साथ आज हमारे साथ डॉक्टर स्थानेश्वर तिमल सना जी हैं। आचार्य जी आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। अब मैं संदीप राज कौल जी को रिक्वेस्ट कर रही हूँ कि प्लीज आप माइक पे आए और उनको वेलकम करें।
धन्यवाद भारती जी, थैंक यू सो मच। सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। संजय रैना जी नमस्कार मारा। आचार्य जी नमस्कार।
प्रणाम प्रणाम।
2020 में ये जो ग्रुप है शुरू हुआ था, ये डिसाइड हुआ था कि आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त की जयंती को हम एक ग्रैंड तरीके से मनाएंगे, जिसमें मोस्टली जो यहाँ पे उपस्थित है उनका बहुत बड़ा हाथ है। चाहे वो सुनील जी है, चाहे वो संजय जी है, महेश जी है, या बाकी लोग हैं जो हमारे साथ जुड़े नहीं हैं। और तब से ये तीसरा साल है जो हम लगातार कर रहे हैं, और मैं समझता हूँ कि ये आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त जी का अनुग्रह है, जिसकी वजह से हम ये कर पा रहे हैं। वही हमें प्रेरित कर रहे हैं। हम आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त के बारे में जितना पढ़ते हैं उतना ही हम विस्मय में पड़ जाते हैं। जितनी उनकी पर्सनैलिटी के बारे में हम जानते हैं उतना ही हम, सही में मैं कह रहा हूँ कि हैरान हो जाते हैं। उन्होंने कहीं पे भी जो कश्मीर शैविज्म का एक फंडामेंटल जो एक उसका थॉट है, प्रकाश विमर्श, वो कहीं नहीं छोड़ा है, कहीं पे भी नहीं छोड़ा है। चाहे अहम इदम तो प्रकाश विमर्श का ही एक रूप है, बट इवन जो आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त का नाम है अभिनव गुप्त, उसमें भी उन्होंने प्रकाश विमर्श रखा है। अभिनव मतलब एवर न्यू, जो शक्ति को रिप्रेजेंट करता है, और गुप्त यहाँ पे शिव है, प्रकाश है, तो प्रकाश विमर्श को वो साथ लेके चले अपने नाम में भी। ये हमारे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है कि हम भगवान अभिनव गुप्त के बारे में चर्चा कर रहे हैं, और यहाँ पे देश विदेश से बड़े बड़े स्कॉलर, बड़े बड़े ज्ञानी साधक आ रहे हैं और अपने एक्सपीरियंस शेयर कर रहे हैं हमारे साथ। आज भी ऐसे ही एक साधक और एक स्कॉलर डॉक्टर स्थानेश्वर तिमल सिन्हा जी है। ये लास्ट ईयर भी आए थे, और मुझे अच्छे से ध्यान है लास्ट ईयर इन्होंने जो रिचुअल है, जिसको हम नजरअंदाज करते हैं, उसके बारे में बताया था कि उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस कितनी है। और ये मैं इस बात से पूरी तरीके से इत्तेफाक रखता हूं कि अगर कश्मीर शवाइट्स, अगर वो हमारा जो रिचुअल पार्ट है, अगर उसको भी हम किसी तरीके से बचा पाते, तो जो कश्मीर शैविज्म है उसका आज जो प्रचार प्रसार है वो कहीं अधिक हो गया होता, उसका फैलाव काफी हो गया होता। अब ज्यादा समय ना लेके मैं फिर से डॉक्टर स्थानेश्वर तिमल सिन्हा जी को बोलूंगा कि वो आए और फिर से हमें अनुग्रहित करे। बट उससे पहले मैं उनकी जो है थोड़ा उनके बारे में बताना चाहूंगा आपके बारे में। डॉक्टर स्थानेश्वर तिमल सिन्हा जी जो है, ही इज द प्रोफेसर San Diego State University, and he completed his Acharya in Yoga Tantra with a focus on Trikha system from Sampurananda University, and completed his PhD from Martin University, Germany, with a focus on Advaita Vedanta. He started the Department of Tantric Studies in Kathmandu, Nepal, before moving to USA and in America. He has taught religions and philosophies in 4 different universities. He has published 5 books and more than 80 articles and book chapters with a focus on Vedanta, Trikha philosophy, Abhinavagupta, and comparative philosophies. He has recently started Vimarsha Foundation with an objective to conserve and promote Trika and Agamic traditions, as well as Vedanta Yoga and various modes of Hindu philosophy. Over to you, Acharya ji.
Thank you so much. Tomeva. Tomevaham. Tomevasi nachasmyaham. Aham tom ityubho nasto yatra tasmai namo namah. In celebration of Abhinavagupta, to celebrate Abhinavagupta Jayanti, I'm citing this verse from a small text, Mahopadesha Vimshatika, 20 stanzas on great instructions by Acharya Abhinavagupta. Today, I would like to speak on devotion, on bhakti. The reason being, the people who are inside practicing Trika, studying Trika, they got this drunkenness that we are in the path of jnana or yoga, and bhakti is not essential to us. Bhakti is for the people who see difference everywhere, Dvaita. And there are others who are deep into duality, also claim that devotion is something only they are capable of. And in this non-dual mode, how can even the concept of bhakti apply? And I keep getting these questions in many of the Vimarsha discourses also, that what would be like to have devotion in the Trika system. And because we are celebrating Abhinavagupta Jayanti, I would like to read a couple of verses from the works of very Abhinavagupta and see not what we think about it, see what Acharya thinks about this issue. Then we can contextualize, we can discuss, we can philosophize, but before we do any of those, we need to go back to the roots. But we need to pay attention to one more aspect, that these thoughts, even the thoughts of Abhinavagupta, do not come out of nowhere. When you see a plant, also appreciate the soil. because it is in particular soil that the particular plants can grow. So the soil I'm referring to here is the philosophy of Yajnavalkya. So to understand Abhinavagupta, someone who lived roughly 1,000 years ago, I'm begging you to go another 2,000 years back and feel the love that Yajnavalkya shared with his wife in a very confusing situation. Because when I think of love, always it takes me back to the dialogue of Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi. And when I read Abhinavagupta, I can feel in my heart he's repeating in more profound words what Yajnavalkya tried to say some 2,000 years before his time. Yajnavalkyasya dve bharye babhuvat. Maitreyi cha Katyayani. This Yajnavalkya, being a profound scholar, philosopher, ritualist, a riddle maker, a riddle solver, realizes, crossing his middle age, he wants to just leave behind all his belongings, divide his assets between his wives, and go to forest. And says, Maitreyi, this is what I intend to do. Maitreyi says, full of tears, don't you love me anymore? Priyasi, you are so loving and you speak such loving words. Basically, Yajnavalkya is saying, how could I not love you? Just because I want to go to forest doesn't mean that I don't love you. Yajnavalkya, in my understanding, is going to forest in the journey to understand love. And this is a bit confusing. That's what I said in the beginning. Because Maitreyi says, take the assets, Maitreyi, and she says, will I be complete? Will I feel complete? Now you are living. Will I feel complete even if you give me the wealth of the entire world? Just tell me what would make me complete. Because I love you. And then that is when Yajnavalkya gives this deep instruction. Nava are patyuh kamaya patih priyo bhavati atmanastu kamaya patih priyo bhavati. Nava are jayaya kamaya jaya priya bhavati atmanastu kamaya jaya priya bhavati. Nava are putranam kamaya lokanam kamaya devanam kamaya. Meaning, Maitreyi, you say you love me, but that is for you that you love me. If you were not to have the love for yourself, how would you be able to love me? If I were not to have the love for myself, how would it be even possible that I would love you? This takes us to a deep situation of what it implies to love and how to differentiate bad love from true love. A bad love is when you are having amnesia. You have absolutely no memory of who you are, and you are confused that you love somebody. It's like in a dream. You met someone in a dream and you quickly loved her. Was your love even real? And there is another situation of a demand, expectations. I love you. Well, when you say someone, I love you, that's very nice of you. I just don't love you though. And then why would you stop loving that person? Because you love her, right? That is a bad, misplaced faith. That is expectation. That is anticipation. We can take it to obsession even. I love you, therefore you are mine. That is obsession. How can we fathom love? By separating our attachment, our obsession, and then most importantly, our objectification and even commodification of love. You just ask someone, you love me, and then I give you $1,000. That is not love. You are getting something in return if you love me. You cannot get love that way. So what would it be like to love someone or to receive love when there is not that anticipation, when there is no condition like that? Let's reverse the situation to our divine love, to love Lord Shiva. And I'll go to Abhinavagupta's verses, the way he expresses how he loves Shiva. But let's entertain for a last minute on this situation of love. That yes, I love you, and because I love you really, so you give me heaven, you give me liberation, you give me salvation. Because I love you. You don't love. There is this expectation, there is this conditioning. And it's a trade, it's a transaction. Someone asked me a year or two ago, in this non-dual mode, there is no lover and the loved one. So the love, bhakti, is not possible. I thought about it deeply. The only thing that interfered in my deeper contemplation was the example given. It's like I want to enjoy love, to feel the love, like to taste sugar, the sweetness of love. And for that, I need to be separate, the enjoyer of the sweetness. Now you can see why this is a problematic metaphor. Because in here, in this problematic metaphor, because in here, we are commodifying. Is there anything
आचार्य
wrong?
जी एक
I
मिनट,
was muted.
जी कल्याणी मिश्रा जी हैं यहाँ पे, प्लीज म्यूट कर लें वो.
So let me
आचार्य जी.
continue. Huh? Is this okay?
Yeah, please
Oh.
carry on.
Okay, there was a background noise. So, okay, let me continue. So, coming back to a non-dual mode of bhakti, because many people, including scholars, sometimes are confused of devotion in this very non-dual mode. This confusion, my point is, this confusion stems from two misconceptions. Number one, the misconception about one's own ego, the cultivation of the ego. That cultivation of the ego allows us to insubordinate everything else. Everything is for you, like a commodity. Even the divine love becomes a commodity. It becomes a transaction. God, you love me and you give me salvation, and I love you. What do I do by loving you? I'll chant your name. It's like you want to pay a penny to own the entire heaven and earth, and you think that's a proper fair transaction. We have nothing to give to the Lord. If you truly love, you would know that you don't own anything as a transaction, not even your words. So in these two misguided notions of what love is and what I am, I would like to read a couple of verses from Abhinavagupta. With the first one, I started in the beginning. Tvam tameva, aham eva aham. You are you and I am me. That is where we start all these journeys, no? It's completely unknown strangers. You are out there. I don't know who you are. And this is me, I am me. This I am is given to me. I'm aware of myself. And what I do, how do I start loving? Tamevasi nachasmyaham. Then I erase myself in love to thee. I offer myself to you. If I offer myself to you, how would I be there still? Tameva asi. Only you are left there. Nachasmi aham, and I am no more. And how can there be even you when the I is erased? Aham tam ityubhyo nasto. And then even the idea of you stops appearing. Aham tam iti ubhau nasto. There is neither me nor you. Yatra. In that state, tasmai namo nama. I bow again and again to something, to wherever the state, whatever is that. There is no name to it. There is no word to it. There is no form to it. Let me repeat it, because we understand and fail to grasp. Grasp is digest. First, in this journey, we have these two separated beings, the divine and the individual human being seeking the divine. And then there is the erasure of the I. So the whole journey has been about preserving this ego, because I am the one who does the loving, right? You are not willing to offer yourself in that all-permeating being of Shiva. then there is no beginning of love. That is why everybody says love demands sacrifice. The sacrifice of the ego. Why do loves fail in the modern times? Because these are the contracts between two egos. The love had never even started. There never was a chance for love. Tome vasi nachasmeham. Only you are there and I am not there. And then that is not even the sense of you, because that making the divine as you is separating from oneself. But there is not even you. If I am not there, then there is no you. The concept, the idea of you also demands the idea of I am. When that I am is removed, you are is also removed. Antardehe maya nityam tvam atma cha gaveshitaha nadrishtas tvam nachaivatma yat cha drishtam tvameva tat. Another verse, Abhinavagupta says, within my body, antardehe, in my heart, maya nityam tvam atma cha gaveshita. I have explored you, divine, in my heart, and I have also explored where is this I, aham, where is this me. I have explored the divine and I have explored myself. Nadrishtas tvam nachaivatma. Neither I have found you as you, nor I as I. But I have seen something. Whatever I have seen, yatcha drishtam tvameva tat. Whatever I have seen, that is just you. That is what is meant by you. Not as the objectified you, but the base you, the basis, the foundation, the possibility that makes it possible for our I consciousness and you consciousness and all the we consciousness. Bhavad bhaktasya sanjata bhavad rupasya medhuna tvam atma rupam sampreksha tubhyam mahyam namo namaha. This is where the real sense of bhakti manifests in literally in words. Me bhavad bhaktasya, Lord Shiva, I'm your devotee. I love you. But what has happened in this love? If you are a proper iron ore and with magnet, you get that magnetic power, you become the magnet. If you are proper wood and you are in contact with fire, you turn into flame yourself, you burn, you become fire. This divine is the light that if you have that possibility to be lit, you also team with light, you also start the blaze of light, you shine on your own, you become light. Bhavad bhaktasya sanjata bhavad rupasya, of me, your devotee, who has become sanjata bhavad rupa, who has turned into your form. Sanjata bhavad rupasya, me, adhuna, now, who has turned into yourself, who has become you. Tvam atma rupam sampraksha, having observed yourself as me, tvam, to you, atma rupam, in my own form, sampraksha, seeing you as myself, tubhyam mahyam namo namah. I bow to you, to myself, because I am you, you are me. And in me, I just see you. For there is no me, that is not you. Tubhyam Mahyam Namo Nama. To you, to me, because there is no you, that is not me. Aham tvam, tvam aham cheti bhinnata navayoh kvachit. For why are you saying something like that? It's because I'm in this deep, intense love, in company of Lord Shiva, in union with Lord Shiva, that aham tvam, tvam aham. I am not even saying anymore that I am you or you are me. Aham tvam, tvam aham, because even that demands some type of difference, that there is you and there is me. Aham tvam, I am you, tvam aham, you are me. The bhinnata nava, there is no difference like that at all. Why is that even? Why are you even talking like that? That I and me and the union and something like that is samadhi grahane chaya vedasya avasthitir haso. Vedasya avasthiti. There is the situation of difference. There is still a demand of difference, because there is the urge, the will of going into samadhi. Even this state, Vedasya avasthiti, that state is also the state of Veda, of difference. So what happens then that Tom aham soyam ityadi nunam tani sadatvayi na labhante chavakasham vachanani kuto jagat. For Tom aham, you are me, so I am, this is that, like so I am Devadatta, like the person we are talking about, this person is that, the connection. Nunam tani sadatvai na labhante chavakasam. There is no room, there is no space for this type of conversation where I could even say I am you, or I am that, or I am Shiva, because these also, even these conversations require difference. Even these conversations require fragmenting the singularity of the being of Shiva and projecting the perception of me and you, the world and Shiva, to divide the world, to divide matter and consciousness, to divide mind and body. We need to impose difference even for that conversation. So what can we do next? So Abhinavagupta says, Alam Vedanu Kathaya Twad Bhakti Rasa Charvanat Sarvam Ekamidam Shantam Iti Vaktum Chalajyate. Alam Vedanu Kathaya. This is enough of the talk of difference, for in savoring the rasa of bhakti. Even to say all of this is pacified or being dissolved, being united, being one in Shiva, I am embarrassed even to speak, even to say that. Tvat swarupe jrimbhamane, for Lord Shiva, upon manifestation of your being, your form, Tvat swarupe jrimbhamane, Tomcha ahamcha akhilam jagat. I can conceive of you, I am able to conceive of myself and of the world as the totality. When Lord Shiva manifests himself, within that manifestation, there comes the Shiva consciousness, there comes the Jiva consciousness, there comes the world, Jagat consciousness. Jate tasya tirodhane, when that Shiva Nimila closes his eyes, goes to Samadhi, when that I am the singularity retrieves its expression and enfolds. Not tom naham navai jagat, neither is there the concept of you, nor is there the concept of I am, nor of the world. In these amazing teachings, what Abhinavagupta has penned is the type of love that Yajnavalkya started his journey to discover. And in this journey, what Abhinavagupta has revealed is rasa. Because many Indologist scholars have credited Bhakti Rasa as some, like Madhusudana Saraswati, a prominent Advaita philosopher, is credited for, and some Goswamis are credited for, some later medieval time scholars. What is Abhinavagupta writing here? Alam Bhedanu Kathaya, enough of the talk of difference for Tod Bhakti Rasa Charvanat, in the savoring of the rasa of devotion. I can't even say all of this is one, for I am embarrassed even to use language, for language does not suffice. Language supposes this difference, language imposes difference. Even though when composing his commentary, Abhinava Bharati, Abhinavagupta defended only up to Shanta, Shantastu Navamorasa. And you can find that also in the Lochana commentary in Dhanyaloka. It is not that he did not talk about Bhakti Rasa. So this Bhakti Rasa for Abhinavagupta in this non-dual mode is the experience that is expunged of all conceptualizations, that is expunged of all differentiations, that is expunged of the ego, that is expunged of the I and the you and the world. What is remaining then? Whatever it is, for even to put a name as you, even to give a name Shiva, would be just a name, a fickle concept, a mirroring image, not the real thing itself. For what is remaining there is just love. But now, just to conclude, shouldn't it be that bhaja chintayam, like we think of the Lord, and for that we need to have that difference? Actually, let's think differently. Bhaja vibhajane, to differentiate. In these experiences, what we are doing, we are differentiating, we are imposing difference. If you know the rituals following the Trika way, what we do here, I'm not supposed to do all these mudras, but basically you take out with your prana. When your prana flows out, you have a deity or a mandala, and then you take the deity out of your heart and place in front of you, and you conduct ritual. And when your ritual is completed, you retrieve, you take it back with your breath to your prana, to your heart. The deity is retrieved back, is always, it's a part expressed outside. So the deity projected out is yourself, the worshipper is yourself, the worshipped is yourself. And so you are also the act of consciousness that is worshiping. And if you are not recognizing this oneness of the worshipper and the worshipped, including the act in which the worshipper and worshipped manifests, you are not worshiping the divine. In this non-dual mode of bhakti, we are not demanding liberation from the Lord, some Kailasa state or Vaikuntha or whatever, because that is also Kuntha, a complex. To anticipate something in reward is a complex, is a binding mental construct. And all these demands, you know, when I put it that way, how bad it seems that because I love you, therefore you have to give me all your wealth. That doesn't sound like love at all. That seems like blackmailing. Because I love you, I am willing to offer my service without any expectation. I'm willing to offer my ego. That is where Abhinava starts. But then he thinks deep and then sees, but then I stop seeing you as you because you have embraced me. And when you accept me as yourself, then I become you. And then that makes you me too. And then the prayers to you become as if prayers to myself. And where is even the prayers? A singular mode of being, a continuum, a pure expression of love. I would like to stop at that so that I can have, I can give you a few moments for any questions you may have. And thank you, Sunil and everybody, for this wonderful opportunity to share the way we feel in the Trika, or the way Abhinavagupta expresses his own love to Lord Shiva, where he is willing to erase his own being and discovers himself instead. Not the ego, but something as the basis, as the foundation, a pure being, pure consciousness, pure bliss. And in that, he, I believe, is one of the first ones actually to write Bhakti Rasa. Thank you so much.
I request if anybody has any questions, please raise their hands so that we can get an answer from Acharya ji. Please raise your hands, or they can type in the chat box. Acharya ji, it seems that everybody is satisfied. All are in the bhakti mode.
Just for the beauty of a discourse, have some words, please. Yeah.
There is a question, Sunilji.
Yeah. Okay.
In chat box.
Acharya ji, this one question. Yeah, you can see it in the chat box.
Correct to compare the Shiva to Sachidananda of Brahman. Also, since the topic is of love, is it possible to achieve the highest state of Shiva by merely getting saturated in his love, like Mirabai gets saturated in her love for Lord Krishna? I have no idea what is sufficient, what suffices, because it's only the grace of Lord Shiva that is sufficient. And I just want to chant his name. That is easy for me, good for you. I mean, but I am not the one to say that is good enough, because, you know, it's like, how do you proceed through the eraser of your ego, through the eraser of your expectations, through the erasure of your projection to what you believe Shiva is. And in all these erasures, everything you do, intellectual discourses, including, because that is where I know you may be referring to, including all our intellectual discourses are aimed towards understanding our binding factors so that we can free ourselves from these. Every single activity is oriented towards that. Shastric studies. You may love to dance and you go to dance at the temple. And you know that dance is not like your bar dance, you know. So you are actually dedicating your dance in performance, in love to Lord Shiva. So all the acts could be parts and processes of your expression of love. But at the same time, if your intention is not proper, then it may not be. So may Lord Shiva be the judge to that. The next Rasa theory was copied. People, Western, oh, there was Kumar Rohit. So there is, I find it is a bit problematic because, you know, many of the Western scholars used to think, some of them still think that thinking actually just started in the West and other people were not capable of thinking. So let us not entertain those ideas because, you know, we go deep down the tunnel of darkness because those ideas are so rubbish that not worth deeply, you know, paying attention to. Any rational philosophy is European, you know. So these are all very much a delusional expressions, and we just, you know, have to have compassion for them because their ego has blinded so much to themselves that they are not able to see anything outside of their own ego. So let's not take these ideas too deeply because it will hurt us, but we cannot help them either. We have to find a remedy that works for delusion, and only that can cure people who think like this.
Acharya-ji, it seems the definition you gave to the bhakti of Acharya Abhinavagupta, I think you had explained the same thing in one of your articles on meditation also. So what's the difference between the bhakti, or should I say parabhakti, and the meditation?
Yoga, meditation, all these we are using names to call, you know, something. And at the end of the day, all these expressions remain, the names. What is Sambhava Upaya? My expression stops, my words stop, my conceptualization stops. What remains there? Just the presence of Lord Shiva. Is this bhakti or not? Yes. So it's like for the people who like to think through bhakti, they will call it bhakti. For the yogis who like to think through yoga, they will call it yoga. For the jnanis who like to think through some intellectual reflection and getting some kind of philosophical resolution, they will call it a philosophical conclusion. At the end of the day, we are just talking about the same thing in different names.
Yes.
Acharya-ji, there is one question from the Facebook. Madam Sushma Jattuji has posted a question. She is asking, do you see any similarity between Acharya Utpaldev's bhakti and that of Acharya Abhinav?
Acharya Utpaladeva is the tree and Abhinavagupta is the fruit. So we cannot think of, if you take out Utpaladeva and start thinking of Abhinava, it is like someone, you know, many people in America have not seen a mango tree, so that is fair. But it is like thinking mangoes just come out of nowhere and not thinking. So whatever Shiva Stotravali, the way Utpala has explored devotion, because I just first thought about talking about everybody, and bringing Utpala Stotravali and this and that. And later I realized in this limited time, I should just focus on 2-3 lines from Abhinavagupta himself. But that does not mean that there could be Utpala, there could be Abhinavasari, there could be Abhinava without Utpala. It would be just as impossible as having the fruit tree without the garden, without the soil. Acharya Utpala made it possible to think like that. Thank you.
So you mean to say it was a continuous, so the seeds
It is a
which Acharya,
continuum, and it's as if I can't say completion, because it was complete even in Utpala himself. Because if I say Utpala started and Abhinavagupta completed, then that would mean like Utpala somehow did not complete. But whatever the way Utpala expressed, that is the same thing expressed. And I find Abhinava's words more profound, as you can see, forgive my biases, because he is more into Rasa word too, because he wrote extensive commentaries on Rasa Shastra. So when he writes, Utpala also is beautiful, but Utpala has this rigidity also, he's so deep into logic also, but he was also truly a devotee of Lord Shiva. We should never forget that. But then because Abhinavagupta has mastered poetry, and then every word he spells, there is this life, there is this vibrancy, and it touches you in a very different way. It's like poems, and then somebody writing, saying the statements, and then somebody turns that statements into poetry. So it's they are doing the same thing, but still I love the words of Abhinavagupta when it comes to some expression of emotions, expression of love. Thank you.
so even in that journey, but Narayan is also very much not talked about. He is completely ignored, though he has given a lot of beautiful shlokas in Sattva Chintamani.
Yep, of course. And there is no into it, because then we will have to go to so many other Kashmiri authors who have a very peculiar way of using the same words, that brings to life. If words are like the body, some people breathe through those words a real pulsating heart, a real life. Others are just speaking the same words, but the life is missing, and these authors, Bhattabhamana, you can read Narayana, you can read so many, even in Kshema Raja's expression in the Bhairava, I find his prayers to Bhairava. There is this life, a lived thing, and that comes also through a true devotion, not just by the mastery of words. Somebody may be very skilled in words, but right at the time that true expression fails, if there is no connection with the heart. There's this connection with the heart in this true, real expression. And I love all of them, but I just mentioned Abhinava not to discredit others, just because it is impossible to talk about so many. And please forgive me. I am not trying to give an impression that I have talked on bhakti from Abhinavagupta's perspective, because it needs 20 lectures like this to touch upon all the different ways he expresses and codifies bhakti in this non-dual paradigm.
So there are a few more questions in the chat box.
Now they are coming. They are coming.
So
there's some raised hands. If you give raised hands first, and then maybe because they are right here and I don't need to read, it's easy for me.
Can I ask a question? Hello. I have put a question in the chat box. Hello.
Okay, so okay, I see that intense longing, because forgive me if that's not yours. Oh, that was Chika. Anyway, is this fragmentation? Yes, But that is not a bad fragmentation. There are two types of fragmentations, my dear. One is the realization that you are broken and you want to be one. This longing is that type of reorientation, going back. Even going back, this longing is also a separation, but there is a division. But in this longing, there is the urge to be one. So therefore, it's a good kind of, it's going towards oneness. So this is positive, but even that longing demands some difference. And Yajnavalkya gives some thoughts of Shiva can be thought as same as Brahman of Upanishads. Well, there are many ways to understand the Brahman, because from the Vishuddha Advaita perspective of Shankara, or Vishishta Advaita perspective of Ramanuja. But then that does not mean that we cannot understand or equate Brahman with Bhairava, because when you understand Brahman as intrinsically dynamic and the Shaktis embedded with the Brahman as having the reflexive awareness, and we can add a couple of core ingredients, and we can have a new commentary, freshly a Trika commentary of the Upanishads. And actually, if you read back, I have tried in my dissertation to read a little bit of Bhartri Prapancha. Unfortunately, his works are lost. I'm sure he was a Kashmiri, because he thought of Drik as a Shakti. And then in the commentary upon Navar, Nahi Drashtur Drishter Vipari Lopo Asti, in that passage, Sureshwara cites Bhartri Prapancha, in which there is this real Shakti of the seeing that is Brahman. This Bhartri Prapancha endorses. And why that is significant is, with that, that becomes Trika system, okay? With just with that tiny aspect of the absolute having intrinsic Shakti, a dynamic Shakti to unfold the externalization and diversity, that becomes Trika. So therefore, I think that we can read some of the commentators on Upanishads before the time of Shankara, and we may be surprised. Even reading Mandana gives a little different impression. So you can get little closer to the Kashmiri way of thinking in reading Mandana Mishra's Brahma Siddhi. Therefore, I focused on, in two of my essays, I have posted that on academia. I have worked on Mandana's thinking. So you can start from there.
Can I ask a question? Hello.
Yes, sir.
I have put it in the chat box. As I am from originally from Kerala, I am finding a similarity between Shankaracharya's concepts and Abhinavagupta's concepts regarding this non-duality. I have just put it in the chat box. In Kalyana Vrishtistavam, Shankaracharya too is talking about the same thing. When he is entering the premises of Jagajanani, Ma Devi, he says that there are only two things which exist. One is the goddess's lotus blossomed lotus smile and his tearful eyes, and nothing else. Probably this could be the evolution of that non-duality. And it is like that.
Yeah, it could be, but again, we can have another discourse on the non-dual devotion in Shankara and Abhinavagupta or something like that. Yeah. I'm not, again, just like somebody asked, what about Utpala? And then you're like, what about Shankara? But yeah, the way we have to start thinking this way.
I am just finding a similarity, that's all.
No, that is great. Okay, yeah, I approve of that. And then that does not, it has nothing to do with whether you are from Kerala or not. Because what Shankaracharya wrote is a universal truth, and
Definitely.
what Abhinavagupta wrote is a universal truth.
Yeah.
And it does not, I am from neither of the places. And I love Abhinavagupta above and beyond anything. And I do study Shankara very deeply. So because they spoke the truth, and we stand by the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a question. Swastik here. Hi.
Yes, hey, Swastik, how are you?
I am doing good, sir. So 2 questions basically. One has been posted by a friend of mine regarding methodology because he is having some technical issues. I am posting that first. And another one is a very direct question from the text. It's from Utpala Deva's Shiva Stotravali. In Sangraha Stotra, he uses the word Swamina Viraha Eva Dukkhina. So I'm just confused about the idea of Viraha over there. That is one. I'm just asking the question posted by Nilambar, a friend. How could one study the first person awareness when you is getting merged into I? Is there any suitable method available for this, or just a phenomenological way of understanding awareness is sufficient?
Oh, okay. First of all, let me touch on Viraha, because I have expressed somewhere else that Sadvedha Devajata Patischa Patnischa Avavatam. So the absolute, in order to experience love, splits itself into man and woman. The idea is that for me, sometimes being merging in one singular consciousness of Shiva, I sit in meditation here, and then maybe sometimes, if I'm lucky, I may get into that one singularity of experience, and then that is not sufficient. Sometimes I feel like I need to get out of this experience, and I need to project Shiva outside, and then that longing part comes there. When the way you feel. That is why Sringara in the aesthetics from the classical writers, you have Vipralamba and Sambhoga. There are 2 types of aesthetic beauties expressed in Vipralamba, in this longing. And that is why Utpala separates his own being so that he can be longing for Lord Shiva.
Achha.
Shiva is longing for Sati. Parvati is longing for Shiva. Is Parvati not realized? Maybe we'll find one guru, one of these, modern day, whatever Babas. So teach Parvati, hey, maybe you come be my cheli and I will, help you realize who you are. So Parvati already knows who she is. She's inseparable from, but it is fun in seeing this way, having embodied and having some separation from Lord Shiva, and to recognize the whole world is about that, Swastik. Otherwise, what is the fun in being so many of us? It's so much fun. So to have this separation and the game, the sports, and then becoming one. So that is the longing part. And would our contemplation, would what type of phenomenology would be there? I mean, maybe at the end, stop idealizing, that would be there. And as long as it is thinking, then you can have the longing sense. But then even that longing sense in seeking union with Lord Shiva, take that out. And how do I take that? If you are confused, then only Lord Shiva can help you. Because how can I take out my ego? It is a daunting task. There is no help on that. That is why we have to leave little room for grace. Because how we are centered, everything to think about, but how can, without me, how can I love Shiva? Therefore, there has to be me and my ego, the whole thing. We are not trying to let this ego go, so the truth can unfold itself. And if we are able to let this go, then the truth shines forth unconditionally. But when we are trying to capture, it is like we demand like a child, you, Mr. Whale, fishy, fishy, come in my fish bowl, come in my fish bowl. I mean by fish bowl, our concept, our head, you fishy, fishy, the whale, it cannot come in the fish bowl. You have to let go of the fish bowl and accept that magnanimity of the whale. And then you'll understand, as a child, it is childish to think God has to come inside your ego. You have to let go of the ego to recognize the divine.
And sir, there is this other question by my friend, which I'm repeating once again. It's regarding the methodology. This is, how could one study the first person awareness when you is getting merged into I? If I put the main part.
This first person awareness, we are trying to study the first person awareness. I am talking about the awareness, dropping the first person. Why drop even the first person? Because for the purity of awareness, as long as this is my awareness, that awareness is encased by the ego, by subjectivity. We are not refining that awareness to its most pristine form. So not only the erasure of the you, that is why we started not even from the erasure of you. Abhinavagupta didn't demand that I first God, you are not there, just me. No, he says, I am not here, just you. So for me to understand you, if I understood you, I have to, for a moment, forget my ego, and I can listen to you. You know why we are not able to listen to each other anymore in society? It's just, I want to be heard. I don't want to listen. To listen, I have to be willing to sacrifice my ego for a brief millisecond, even if, so that there is a window for you to penetrate into the horizon of my consciousness. But then when your thoughts, your voices, your feelings, your experience enter. If you are having agony, you are in pain, you are enjoying, your joy, your pain enter, become mine. And then when I'm enjoying, Swastik, when I am in pain, then that is not your pain anymore. That is not your joy anymore. That is my joy too. But then what is that? Let's be in that joy. Forget mine. Let's be in that joy to let go of you, let go of me. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything. I'm just paraphrasing what I thought Abhinavagupta is talking about. I'm just parroting, okay? Let's stop at that.
Rabindra ji is asking one question, Acharya ji. So after that, we will not take any more questions.
Okay, sure.
Jai Mahakal, Acharya ji. My question is actually, you may have already responded in the previous question, but I will reiterate that the whole in Agama, the Bhairavi Samvad is always the Bhairavi asking a question which she actually knows already the answer, and Bhairava answers. So in some sense, that this notion of the merged but still being in love, is this an example of that?
Yes, and for the Bhairava Bhairavi Uvacha, there is this Abhinavagupta again in Paratrishika Vivarana. He starts this Uvacha. I wrote one essay, Dialogical Manifestation in the Agamas, and that is in the academia. Because this Uvacha itself, Abhinavagupta just drops some hints. Oh my gosh, it's like maddening, so original thinking of what does it mean for Bhairavi to speak. It's like there is no real, if you have seen the chickpeas, who is the Indian who doesn't know chickpeas? You can almost split into half, but then you cannot really split into half. If you are trying to germinate them, then you have to not do such monkey business. You know, you can eat, you can soak it and split and then eat, but you cannot germinate. So the life comes in that. But there is this, like Shiva and Shakti, Bhairava and Bhairavi are like two sides of the chickpea. You know, a single seed with the two sides, appearing two sides. So there is, what type of uvacha is there? There is this conversation is not a real difference, but conversation is not a non-difference. There is a projected difference. And then, but why is that even happening? She is reflexivity. That is her job, to be inquisitive. Inquisitiveness is intrinsic to Vimarsha Shakti. And revelation is intrinsic to Prakasha. So this is why Bhairavi is given task to be inquisitive. And now give it to some modern day feminist. Why does she have to be asking? You know, therefore, no bias there, but that's why I'm not even trying to entertain those questions, because it already projects their superimposed paradigm and then tries to read the text only within the projected paradigm and not engage what they ever meant. So Bhairava Uvacha, so the please, the dialogical manifestation in the Agamas. I hope you will manage some time to go through that.
Thank you. Pranam.
Bharti, can you invite now Ashish?
Ji, thank you so much, Acharya ji. We feel blessed to have you here. To see the happiness in your face. आपका फेस इतना खुशी से भरा हुआ है और इतना सेटिस्फेक्शन है आपके चेहरे पे. It feels full and so blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था कि आज मैं हिंदी में ही बोल के रहूंगा, फिर देखा कि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स बाहर से है तो उनके ऊपर अन्याय होगा, तो फिर मैंने जो है इंग्लिश में बोला. तो सुनील जी, कभी जो है हमें भी हिंदी में बोलने का अवसर चाहिए.
जी जी अवश्य आचार्य जी, अवश्य अवश्य. अभी 11 अगस्त को आचार्य उत्पल देव जी की जयंती है, उसमें आपको हिंदी में भरपूर बोलने का अवसर प्राप्त होगा.
Wonderful. So we will explore devotion in Utpala, so then it will complete.
Exactly. We will start from Abhinav and close it at Utpala.
Utpala. Thank you.
अभी मैं आशीष, okay, Ashish Zadu ji, please unmute your mic. Namaskar.
सबसे पहले तो प्रणाम आचार्य जी. We today have been really privileged and honored to hear you. I've heard you before also many times other lectures, but today again it was really exhilarating for all of us. So thank you very much for just such a wonderful lecture. I mean, you talked about love, divine love, and how we all are basically confused all the time with our small personal egoistic love, and at the same time elated also about that we are in such a great, you know, emotion, such a great feeling with this personal love. But this is all not real. As you said, you know, the divine love is not two, it's all about one. So this false construct of ahankar, you know, which creates this confused personal love, but still, I mean, we have that much only till we reach there. Yeah, this is what we live with. Yeah, but that was really wonderful to know about the divine love, you know, the aham and tam, how to mitigate the difference, how to remove the difference when it is only aham. And you, as you said to the question, to one of the answer, you know, answer to one of the questions, I and the awareness, to drop that I also and just the pure awareness. Yeah, so that was really masterpiece. You know, this I should completely go. So thank you very much. Thanks once again for such a wonderful lecture. We you know, look forward to hear more about you, and as you said in Hindi also. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Dhanyavad.
Thank
Dhanyavad. Back to you, Bharti ji.
I believe Sunil ji, Sanjay Rana ji haven't joined yet. So please,
Okay.
please
So
close the
again,
session.
so let's close this ceremony with few shlokas which we have been reciting in our ashram on Abhinavagupta. Abhinavarupa Shakti Tad Gupto Yo Maheshwaro Deva Tad Uvayamal Rupam Abhinavaguptam Shivam Vande. With this, we pray to Mahamaheshwar Abhinavagupta to enlighten us and take us towards that supreme awareness which he has been all talking about in his works. And before we conclude this session, I would like to convey to the listeners here that whole journey of this lecture series is planned in such a way that we have 2 sessions at each day till 13th. Tomorrow again, there would be a session hosted by MIT University, and that would be at 11 a.m. in the morning. At 1 p.m., there would be another lecture hosted by Mukul Ranayam University, Kashi, that is at 1 p.m. And subsequently, there would be a lecture in the evening from 8 to 9 p.m. by Swami Brahmanandji, who was the disciple of Swami Muktanandji. So we look forward to all of you to be part of this whole continuous journey. Keep on experiencing this divine love, affection, and join us. If Supriya ji is here, she can share the link in this group about tomorrow's lecture. And again, Acharya ji, my sincere pranam to you. Thanks to you that at such a short notice, you never fail to respond with all your other activities. You are always keen to join us and enlighten us more and more about the Shastras of Shaiva Darshana and take us towards that journey, which is the ultimate goal of every human being. Thank you once again to all of you. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Namaskar.